MagMongoSlade.
Everybody mad, and I'm just happy to be here. Your boy MagMongoSlade in the building. Let's talk about SmackDown, April the 14th. Kind of dry episode of SmackDown. Not very good, but it adhered to the iron law of 5 matches and under, so it was decent. Could have been better, though. All right, news and notes first. It seems like whenever AEW gets some momentum, it's like the dirt sheets to me. I know I complain about the dirt sheets a lot on this channel, but I've noticed a lot. When WWE is up, AEW is down, and they're having a lot of internal problems. When AEW is up, then WWE is down, they're having internal problems. A lot of this stuff is just things that are in the dirt sheets. For instance, now that it has been announced that CM Punk will probably be returning at some point, now all of a sudden everybody wants to leave WWE. There's this talk about Seth Rollins walking out. There's this talk of Drew McIntyre blacking out his social media. What could it mean? It's like, who knows? I don't know what it means. Maybe we ought to wait and see. You know, if Drew McIntyre is in contract year, it would behoove him to actually, show up to work and ride that contract out until he gets a better one. The idea that he could possibly leave, it could happen. Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. I didn't think Sasha Banks was going to leave. She proved me wrong. It's entirely possible that Drew McIntyre could walk too. Maybe. Do I think it's likely? Not really. I don't think it's likely at all, if we're being honest. But it's something that people want to talk about. So there that go. Seth Rollins walking out. Again, I talked about this on the live stream, but it might have just been frustration at him, how he's been floating the last couple of weeks. Especially before WrestleMania, he was kind of floating, and then he did the thing with Logan Paul, and he complained about Logan Paul almost the entire time they were supposedly feuding. He was talking about how Logan Paul didn't deserve the opportunity, he didn't like him, yada yada yada. He should have Cody's spot. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of guys who are supposedly disgruntled in WWE. It's not entirely true, but I'm pretty sure there's some elements of truth to it. Seth Rollins, he is, I think, being, I wouldn't say taken advantage of, but I will say he's been taken for granted. Seth Rollins has kind of been a very solid guy, but they haven't ished or got off the pot with him. I think 2019 was kind of it in terms of him being a top guy. I don't think he'll ever be where Roman is. Will he ever main event at WrestleMania? Who knows? But I think in his mind, he should be where Roman is, or him and Roman should be equals. And he does have a bit of an argument. He was one of the 2 guys who Roman didn't actually beat in his title run. The other being Xavier Woods, because I think Roman got disqualified against Xavier Woods, if I remember correctly. But in any event, I get Seth Rollins' frustrations. He did get embarrassed by having his segment cut while he was in the middle of the ring. This was Raw after WrestleMania. And then, who knows, maybe he was one of the guys who didn't make it to Raw last week. Or maybe he got cut again, who knows. Or maybe he's just frustrated because he hasn't seen his push elevate in a long time. And it's possible. But I think WWE, to a degree, do take certain people for granted. And I think Seth Rollins is one of the many guys that they do take for granted, where they could be doing more with him, but they choose not to. No matter how over he is, he doesn't seem to get pushed more. But that's part of, existing in the tribal chief era. There's always guys like this, During Hulk Hogan's era, there's always guys who felt like they should have had more. When Steve Austin was the guy, there was always people who felt like they should have had more. During the New Generation era, during the Ruthless Aggression era, there's always guys who feel like they should have a bigger spot. And sometimes those guys have a good point, and sometimes they don't. I think Seth Rollins was a guy where they tried, and it didn't work. And so now they're gun shy about trying again. So it is what it is. Now, in terms of Drew McIntyre, I do think that he is another one of those guys where they kind of taken him for granted, and they haven't done anything major with him in a long time. But I definitely think the Intercontinental Championship thing and the stuff he was doing with Sheamus was fun. And I don't think we're done with that, by the way. I still think there's more juice to be had there because they haven't had the McIntyre Gunther singles match yet. So we still got something in there. And who knows, maybe he'll pop up next week and this is all just storyline horse manure, but we'll see. Speaking of horse manure, let's talk about this show. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, they're in the ring celebrating, talking about the draft. I'm sick of the draft already. I'm sick of hearing about the draft already. The Usos come out, say that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens seem to be folding under pressure. I don't know what that means. Like, how are they folding under pressure? I don't know. But the bloodline is stronger than ever because they have leveled up. There's no cracks. They're all solid. And that eventually Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are going to turn on each other. But Jay is sure that Sami Zayn is going to be the one who's going to stab Kevin Owens in the back. Okay. They've been leaning very heavily on the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and the Usos story. And it feels like they're pushing rope now, where they gave you the big orgasmic moment at WrestleMania where they won the titles. And now they're trying to force this thing to continue instead of giving us a break from it. Like, realize that it was pretty heavy on Sami Zayn and the Usos leading up to WrestleMania. We got the big match. Now we can really give these people a break against each other and circle back to it later on. But they want to continue this. But it seems like they have nothing really to continue it with. So it's just random fight scenes. So Matt Riddle jumps into this thing, and we got ourselves a 3-on-3 fight. It's separated by everybody. Adam Pearce sets up the main event for Riddle versus Solo. Riddle is given a pep talk by Sami Zayn, who says that he feels bad that Riddle was jumped and lost 4 months of his career because of Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa is dangerous, and he just wants Matt Riddle to be careful. Please be careful, Matt. Kevin Owens says, screw that. It's the opposite. He wants Matt Riddle to get revenge. Riddle knows how dangerous Solo is and is going to go out there and handle it. Notice Sami Zayn did not apologize. He was a member of the Bloodline when they put Matt Riddle down. He should apologize. Like, legit. I'm not just saying that because I just think it's a good babyface thing to do. For him to say, look, we were wrong what we did. Him saying, I feel bad about it is kind of a half apology. Just go ahead and say, look, I was wrong. I got caught up in the moment. It was the wrong thing to do. I'm sorry. But they are pushing Matt Riddle to be a little bit more serious here. He's not a Riri. He's not short bus Riddle this time. He's still kind of, yeah, bro, but it's not, as over the top as it used to be. Okay, later, Paul Heyman is talking to Solo Sikoa about embarrassment, and if that when Matt Riddle attacked him and knocked him down and everything, he didn't just embarrass Solo Sikoa, he embarrassed the bloodline. He said, Umaga is rolling in his grave. He's shaming Yokozuna. So then Solo actually stopped Paul, and then he spoke, saying, tell the tribal chief that I got this. It was anticlimactic. His, first words on the main roster were kind of anticlimactic, but who cares really? I mean, again, we're kind of going overboard with this thing. I feel like we've seen every iteration of this for the last 6 weeks. We've seen every single iteration of this match. Now they just added Riddle to it. It's like it's chicken noodle soup with more noodle. Like that's the new recipe. Just add more noodle. Anyway, Heyman announces that the Usos will wrestle Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens in 2 weeks in Corpus Christi, and a rematch for the tag team championships, and guaranteed that the Usos will win because Roman Reigns is losing his patience with you two. And he pointed at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, but he was looking at the Usos. So that's the next step, is Roman is losing his patience with the Usos. I still think it's a huge narrative failure that they haven't had a segment to address this yet. Like, they have not been champions for 2 weeks. And all we've got is meaningless Solo Sikoa matches out of this. Instead of having that segment where Roman chastises them for losing the belts, which should have been immediate. It should have been the very first thing they did. But they didn't. Anyway, Matt Riddle, Solo Sikoa, decent match. Got about 15 minutes, I think. Probably a lot of commercials. Made no sense, of course. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were ejected. The Usos were ejected, and all 4 of them come back to fight outside the ring and distract everybody. So the referee threw them out, only for them to turn around and come right back. That's showing your referees got teeth. Solo Sikoa ends up winning with the Samoan Spike. Afterwards, the Usos end up beating the hell out of everybody. Solo Sikoa, Uranagi, Matt Riddle on the announce table, then turn the announce table over on top of him. Real gangster shit right there. real gangster shit. I think the last time that happened, it happened at a Big Show or somebody like that. So that's pretty wild. Matt Riddle's a crash dummy. He just came back and they're already trying to kill him again. It's also kind of embarrassing that Matt Riddle loses his first match back. His match with The Miz was canceled because The Miz wasn't there. So this technically was his first match back, and he lost. I don't see why we needed to do this. I don't see why we couldn't drag this thing out. Why do we have to have this match literally 1 week after Matt Riddle returns and then he loses? That doesn't make sense. That's not how you build a babyface. I'm sorry. So it is what it is. We got nothing really was achieved during this whole thing. It was just more Usos, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens stuff. Again, we're pushing rope on this one. We're trying to make people care about this. And yes, they still care about the elements, but clearly the story is no longer there. The story is very limp, you know. It's kind of like, yeah, WrestleMania, yeah, we beat you guys at WrestleMania. How about that? It's like, yeah, we all saw that. Okay, now what's the next chapter of this thing? What does it look like? But we haven't gotten that far yet. Okie dokie. All right, Xavier Woods, he cut a promo basically saying that if LA Knight worked as much as he talked, he would have made WrestleMania. And they're going to have a match tonight. They have a solid enough match, probably too long for me. Xavier Woods defeats LA Knight. LA Knight pulled the tights. Xavier Woods countered it, pulled the tights, and won. LA Knight loses again. You guys got what you wanted. You guys wanted LA Knight. You got him. He's just doing a lot of jobs now. I mean, it's the monkey's paw. You asked for it, but you weren't specific. You didn't say you wanted them to get pushed. You just said you wanted LA Knight back. So here it is. Still, LA Knight did some weird version of the people's elbow. I was like, oh no, don't do this. You already get the Rock comparisons. Don't lean into it. Just chill. Xavier Woods did a rope walking drop kick, which I thought was pretty cool. Xavier Woods, is one of those underrated guys too. Very underrated. Not saying that he should, be something, but I'm just saying that he's very underrated. He's very underappreciated. Imperium was backstage. Gunther was telling his boys to focus. He needs them to focus. So Xavier Woods starts playing the trumpet behind them, just being annoying. Gunther called him a goof, say he doesn't like goofs, and that he should have stepped to him in a respectful manner. Xavier Woods talked about how long Gunther been Intercontinental Champion and how he has never had a match for the Intercontinental title. Gunther offered to give him a title shot because apparently that's what he wanted. And Xavier Woods says that he has been ready to take that title back to his place. So next week, Intercontinental Championship, Xavier Woods versus Gunther. I like this match. What I don't like is that we have annoying baby faces. I don't like that. I think that's one of the things that has been created within the last several years that is not fun, is the baby face that is annoying. Like, why do you want your baby face to be an annoyance? Why couldn't Xavier Woods just walk up to Gunther and say, I want a match for the Intercontinental Championship. You know, I've never had one before. I'm on a winning streak. I'm willing to test my luck. Let's go. And then Gunther to still say the same thing, that he's a goof, he doesn't deserve it, yada, yada, yada. And then ultimately they agreed to have the match. But we got Xavier Woods playing the trumpet, which is something he's been doing for 6 years. 6 years, I think. Like, come on, seriously. How long are we going to be doing this trumpet thing? How long are we been doing New Day? God, with no changes whatsoever. I liked his King thing. That sucks that they ended up getting rid of it. Anyway, Gunther versus Xavier Woods should at least be a good television match. Of course, the title ain't going anywhere, but it's a good TV match. Judgment Day is in the ring. Damian Priest wanted to talk about Bad Bunny, saying that Bad Bunny was his friend, and that if he wants to host Backlash and sit in the front row, he said that if he put his hands on his family, he's going to put him through a table again, something to that effect. Then he got attacked from behind by the LWO, which leads to Damian Priest versus Santos Escobar. A solid match with, again, a ton of outside combatants doing outside combatant stuff. Dominic Mysterio in the way, being annoying. He's a heel, so it's okay. Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro attack him, and Damian Priest had to come out there and save him. Zelina Vega did a Hurricane Rana on Rhea Ripley, which is... Look, I like Zelina. I really do. As a wrestler, though, she is so small that I don't think I could take this match seriously. She's so tiny that I have to ask the question of what can she possibly do to Rhea Ripley. And this Hurricane Rana looks so much like Rhea let it happen. Not as so much as somebody did this to her, as so much as she kind of fell into it. You know, it was kind of silly. Afterwards, Damian Priest put Santos Escobar... was going to put him through a table, but Ray saved him. Ray mixed it up with Dominic a little bit more before Damian Priest saved Dominic and pulled him out of the ring. Again, it still feels like the LWO is being set up to turn on Ray for all of their constant losses, and they're going to end up blaming all this stuff on Ray, leading to the Escobar-Rey Mysterio feud. The problem with that is we have seen Escobar lose so much that he almost has no credibility. You know, it's like... These people have no credibility. When was the last time they won a match? A match of any kind, even by disqualification or count out or anything. Legado del Fantasma, aka the LWO, have lost every single fucking match they've had for like a month. They have no credibility whatsoever. So it's sad. And I've seen stories that Zelina Vega, because she is Puerto Rican, will probably be getting the match against Rhea Ripley at Backlash. And while it's a unique contest... I don't see how that can work out. How is Zelina Vega competition for Rhea Ripley? I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out. We'll have to wait and see, right? Who cares? I'm just not buying it. Speaking of not buying it, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, they came out to do a championship celebration, and they both were very, very cringe. They were super cringe. They sucked so bad. Raquel thanked Liv Morgan for being her little weapon, to which Liv responded, "I'll always let you throw me into people." I was like, God, burn them both. Set them both on fire. They suck. Then they said that they're still working things out, but they're a great pair. You know, they're not, a long-running tag team. Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green interrupted, said, how are they the tag team champions when they never beat the tag team champions? And then said it was a pea-brain Adam Pearce who made it legal. Then said that they are being overlooked as a tag team, and that this team, being Liv and Raquel, are mediocre. Then Liv said that she will talk to Adam Pearce about making them the top contenders, which apparently has happened. And they had a little bit of a scuffle before they separated. This was awful. Sonya and Chelsea are fine. As heels, they're very annoying. They remind me a lot of the Iconics, but and that's probably not a good thing because we could have just had the Iconics. Chelsea Green, though, I made fun of her quite a bit, but she is actually pretty good on the microphone. She looks great. She's got a good handle for her character. Sonya Deville, I always said we need to do more with Sonya Deville, so I'm not very angry that we're doing more with Sonya Deville. Her being in a tag team with Chelsea Green seems very odd, considering this seems like a role tailor-made for Carmella. Like, it just feels like Chelsea Green and Carmella are a more natural tag team than Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. You know, Sonya Deville's character is not really, I mean, I guess she is a complainer, I guess, but she's not as much of a diva as Carmella is. And that's kind of the heart of the character. Is Chelsea Green has high expectations, but she always wants more because she has a high self-esteem. You know, she's a diva. So it makes sense for Carmella to fit that character. Why they gave it to Sonya Deville, I don't know. But, okay, fine, whatever. But I wish that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez could lose the titles next week, but that's not going to happen. Chances are they're going to be the placeholders until Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler show up to take the belts, which would have been fine with me. And it seemed like that's what they would have done if Shayna Baszler was healthy, which I don't think she is. I think she got hurt at WrestleMania. So Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are the beneficiaries of them breaking up that tag team of Lita and Becky Lynch. Or I guess Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch now, I guess. However that's going to go. All right, Shinsuke Nakamura made his monumental re-debut, I guess, versus Madcap Moss. A nice little wrinkle for Madcap Moss. Emma is putting the battery in his back, saying that Shinsuke doesn't compare to him, that he is sure to be the top pick in the draft. He goes out there and gets squashed. The match is like 3 minutes. And I don't know if Moss got any offense whatsoever. Moss is still very generic, but again, I see the potential there. His explosiveness, his size, his body type, he needs something. You know, this is a guy who got Madcap over, which is something that absolutely sucked. And he managed to get that over. So surely Emma can't hold him down too much. Hopefully they can lift each other up, but they have to be consistent. Like, you can't take them off TV for a month and then bring them back and then expect people to remember this fucking guy. Nobody knows who this fucking guy is, okay? So you have to be consistent with it and keep him in the public eye so people know who he is. Nakamura has been gone since, I don't know, November, maybe October. He's been gone for a long time. Moss tried to attack him from behind at the urging of Emma, and Nakamura caught him and put him in an armbar. And then Emma saved him, pulled him away. I was like, okay, so Moss is officially turning heel. It doesn't mean much considering, you know, there's nowhere for them to go. You know, like, you can't win a tag team title because you don't have a tag team partner. You can't win a singles title because Gunther got the belts locked up, and so do Roman. So you just kind of have to build your character at this point, which they're not doing. They're not working on anybody's character now that I think about it. All the characters on the show have gotten pretty stale. Speaking of not showing up for a month or so, Scarlett has a tarot card, and it's, I guess, the King, which is Shinsuke Nakamura or whatever it was, the dancer or something like that. I don't know tarot. I don't know shit about tarot. Ouija, are you with me? More murder than me now. That ain't got nothing to do with tarot. I just felt like whenever you think about like spooky stuff, I think of Dear Mr. Ouija. In any event, so Scarlett and Karrion Kross are after Shinsuke Nakamura for reasons unknown. But Kross posted on Twitter that both of them essentially practice martial arts, and they took a picture together or something like that when they were both wearing their gi. I guess they're going to do martial arts stuff together. Okay, that works for me. Crazy how Karrion Kross has had like very cold water doused on him since he's been here. He has not gotten any momentum whatsoever. No momentum whatsoever. Very unfortunate. Also, he's in the same boat as Madcap Moss and so many other guys on this roster. Speaking of guys who are just kind of hamsters on a wheel, Braun Strowman and Ricochet, they're chatterboxing backstage about, you know, who has better biscuits or something. I don't know, KFC or Churches. Next thing I know, the Viking Raiders attacked them and attacked them viciously. They hit Braun with a metal girder and they put Ricochet through a table. It sets up a regular tag team match next week because, for heavens to Betsy, you might want to do a street fight or something like that. But I don't understand why these two teams are handcuffed together. The Viking Raiders have had character upgrades. as far as their look, and they get more TV time. But by God, have they won? Nothing, and they haven't. And again, wrestling needs to have consequences for wins and losses. When you are a team that you can just lose and lose and lose and lose and lose and nothing matters, why even have a character at that point? Like the Viking Raiders has like some kind of spiritual guardian in Valhalla, right? That's what she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be like the medium, the oracle to the gods or whatever. Are the gods happy that your boys are just jobbers? How about we address that situation? How about we address the fact that the Viking Raiders have probably won 2 matches since they returned? If they are fighting on behalf of the Norse gods or whatever, Thor ain't happy about this, right? He's not excited that these guys worship him and they're fucking bums. He's not going to be happy about that. How about we address that at some point? If for no other reason, that is be something different, and Braun Breaker, Braun Strowman and Ricochet still being a tag team now makes no sense. I don't understand why. Like, how are they partners? All this time they've been together, I don't understand what makes them a tag team. Are they even friends? Like, you could tell Triple H is booking this not only because this stupid tag team exists, not just because the Viking Raiders still exist on this roster, but because all this stuff is happening with no real reason for it to happen. Like, there's no real reason why Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are a tag team. There's no real reason for it. There's no reason given why Karrion Kross wants to beat up Shinsuke Nakamura. There's no reason given. It's weird. Like, with the Madcap Moss thing, the reasoning being that, Emma is trying to build his confidence and she's going to turn him heel. At least that makes sense, But most other things that happen on this show literally feel disconnected. Like, characters who you kind of question how they even get along, being tag team partners and stuff, it's just dumb. People who constantly lose and don't go anywhere in their careers, it's ridiculous. I don't get it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm asking for too much. But I know Vince didn't do this, because if he was booking SmackDown, it'd be a lot more fun. There'd have been like cake or confetti, or This Is Your Life segment. Somebody would have kissed somebody's wife or something. Something crazy would have happened. But Triple H just wants to have a regular old wrestling show where, Xavier Woods gets 10 minutes with LA Knight, and everybody's like, what on earth and why? They're fighting over LA Knight don't like video games. That's why they're fighting. And it takes me back to, when Jim Cornette talks about like Dusty Rhodes, and you say like grown men fighting over real things. Like when in wrestling, if you're not fighting over something that other people can relate to, you tend to get people to tune out. This is why wrestling should not be geared towards geeks and nerds. And I say this as a geek and a nerd. But when you don't have real life grounded conflict, people tune out. You got to have grounded conflict. They started the show with a match they started the show with a promo, a long promo, where you already gotten the resolution to that conflict, the Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You've already gotten the resolution to that conflict. So some people are not going to be invested anymore. You have to restate the conflict, have to reheat the meal, right? The first match is because LA Knight just destroyed your controller. Like, that's no good. That's no good. That's not realistic. We don't like that. That's not good. That sucks. And that's how I evaluate conflict. And you should evaluate the conflict in your story. And then you will have to see how the violence, how it appropriately grows from the conflict that's in the story. Like, if the conflict in the story is light, then the violence should be light. If because having one match because a guy destroyed your controller, okay, you're not going to have a feud out of that. You can steal a match out of that, I guess, which is what they did. But, then when they had, again, Gunther and Xavier Woods, instead of just having Xavier Woods be a guy who wants more out of his career, You know, he's a guy who's been there for a long time and he hasn't gotten a chance. And him state that, even if it was just to Adam Pearce or something, and grounded it in reality, it could have been more appreciated. Instead, they went with Xavier Woods is silly. Look at him. He's so annoying. He's getting on Gunther's nerves. And everybody's like, Gunther, stomp this bitch. All right? I want Gunther to stomp the babyface. That's not, you did it wrong. Okay? He's annoying. You were having a conversation minding your own business. And then this guy, you know, just pops up. Like, no, kick him in his ass. Hard. That's the wrong reaction that we want out of this situation, you know? But SmackDown was dull. It was a very dull show. It seems like they haven't figured out what they want to do yet. And they're still trying to make the most of this post-WrestleMania thing. But they're not going to have too much longer before people start saying, you know what? This is not going anywhere. And they're going to call it a day. But it's far too much wrestling on these shows for you to blame it on Vince. I can tell you that much. These matches are too long. And there's too many people that Vince didn't really care for getting too much TV time for you to blame it on him. So this your boy. This Triple H's game. Whose game is it? Yeah. All right. Do all the YouTube things, y'all. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.